Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here, or M&R Productions, and welcome to my review of the 2022 LEGO Star Wars 75321, the Razor Crest Microfighter. With 98 pieces and one minifig, this set costs just $10 in the United States, which has been the going rate for microfighters since their introduction in 2014. And surprisingly, with the battle packs going from $15 to $20, microfighters have yet to receive the price hike treatment, holding out at just $10. It wouldn't surprise me if in the next few years we see them jump to 11, 12, or 13, but as of now, they're still just $10, which, in all fairness, is what I think they should cost, but, you know, LEGO's gonna get greedy at some point here. The box art is from the Season 2, Episode 5, The Tragedy of the Mandalorian. Of course, we have the monument back there that we see Grogu on. We have the Razor Crest flying in the foreground, which I think is a love it or hate it design, and I think that most people are gonna end up hating this design. I feel like the Razor Crest Microfighter didn't translate too well, at least for what LEGO did. We've got the orange stripe denoting that this is from the Mandalorian, which LEGO has done a decent job with, but not a perfect job with that box art, as we'll see in some other sets in my 2022 reviews. We have the Mandalorian on top there, and then interestingly enough, on the back, we have another image of the Mandalorian there. However, it looks like he's in a slightly different color jumpsuit, and he definitely is in this picture. However, within the set, he will actually be in the regular brown. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but LEGO definitely at some point printed this on the wrong color jumpsuit and took a picture of it and then used it somehow, and nobody caught it, because that's LEGO Star Wars for you. On the top right, they show off the new stud shooter, which I actually really like, and then we just have another angle of the Razor Crest, which of course we'll be taking a closer look at here. So let's unbox it. Looks good to me. All right, let's build her up. The Mandalorian Din Djarin minifigure is almost amazing. It is the perfect example of LEGO going out and saying, quote, "We never compromise on the quality of our products," but then literally compromising on the quality of their products. Their propaganda is just horrible, and that's what it is at this point. I mean, this is quite literally a great example of LEGO compromising the quality of their products. All right, so let's get started. There's been a problem with the helmets of the Mandalorians for months and months and months now, and it continues here into 2022 with the downward shifted print of the visor. I mean, it's supposed to be quite a bit farther up, and it is not. It's pretty obviously shifted down. It's a very common, if you want to call it, misprint at this point, but yeah, it's very common. It's just the way it is, and it looks horrible. It is at least the Beskar color of the helmet. The same cannot be said for his jetpack, which is done in a dark metallic gray, but the jetpack should match the helmet, and it's really embarrassing when Fortnite has it right, but LEGO Only the Best is Good Enough does not. And then the other problem with this figure, still going into 2022, we saw Din Djarin's face at the end of 2019 or something. It's been like 2 years. And so if we pull his helmet off, you'll see we're still using a plain black head. We can't be bothered to make a Din Djarin face. So rather disappointing for the top part of the Mandalorian minifigure. The same disappointment cannot be said for the rest of the figure. I mean, it's got arm printing. We've got details down to his wrist rockets and little flamethrower on his arm. We have the mudhorn on his shoulder as well. It's a beautiful print, very packed with detail. I mean, there's not a lot bad you can say about all that, but everything from the top of the shoulders up is just a massive disappointment to still see going on in 2022. And if we remove the helmet, the head, and the jetpack, he's even got a really great back print. It's just rather unfortunate that the top part of him ain't so great. Why, thank you. I do know that it's a minifigure and a microfighter, and it's not all that big a deal, and none of this is. It's all just LEGO sets, but LEGO is sitting on their high horse saying we never compromise the quality of their products when they clearly do. All they would have to do is produce this in the same color as this, and it's fine, but they can't be bothered. So, you know what I mean? I think the point gets across. I just don't see why we can't have nice things at this point like this. It's pretty easy for them to do. All of these changes should have been implemented into the Mandalorian figure last summer when they released him in like 3 sets, but it seems like they're continuing their lazy cheapness into 2022 with this. And if Din Djarin continues to show up in more sets, I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to be this exact same version with no revisions and no improvements. So yeah, that's the figure for the set. Rather disappointing, especially if you've already got him. I also find the Razor Crest design to be disappointing. It was something that I've seen a lot of mocks of over the last year or two. And this did not translate as well into the official LEGO set as I had anticipated. There's just a lot more studs showing, perhaps, and especially these open studs on top, I think look particularly ugly. A little bit more dark gray than I think I would have liked, a little more tan than I think I would have liked. It just doesn't hit all the spots for me, and I think these newer stud shooters on the front are really effective. They work really well, but for this particular ship, look rather ugly. I mean, obviously no stud shooters would by far be the optimal look, but obviously that is not what LEGO can go for. They've got to include some sort of play feature for the kids, so that's what we're stuck with, is stud shooters on the front. Like I said, these work well. I mean, I'll shoot my hand real quick. You'll see it hit goes rather fast. I mean, much more effective stud shooter in my opinion than the stud shooters of old. I think they look better in some cases, look worse in others. It's going to come down to personal preference in a lot of ways. We do have a control panel in the front here, and then you can of course sit your Din Djarin Mandalorian minifigure in there, and there are a couple studs. You don't have to really worry about him falling out. Might be a little more difficult to take him out, but even with his jetpack in there, he fits in rather snugly. You can see moving back, this is where like the escape pod would be. We've got a little bit of ventilation looking stuff there. And then one of the coolest things about this is that they were actually still able to include the boarding ramp. Obviously not functional on a model this small, but it's nice to have the little details like that on a microfighter. Got some pretty good looking engine thrust. I actually like the shape of the back of the engines. I think that's something they did well. And even the shape of the back of the ship here just contours in all nicely to a point at the end there. It just works out rather well. And then you actually have some landing gear, which is a nice addition. It's just not a great looking microfighter, unfortunately. I do kind of like that you could display it like this if you'd like. You can kind of put it on its side, up on your shelf, and it would kind of face in and towards you. So that's kind of nice. The other problem with microfighters nowadays, especially today, is this is the only one available in 2022. This is the only one they're making, at least, and there's no counter to this. So you have nobody for Mandalorian Din Djarin to fight. They've gotten away from making microfighters in pairs, which is what they had been doing for 6 or 7 years. I think we should have had a Moff Gideon with a TIE fighter of some sort to have fight the Razor Crest and Din Djarin. It just would have made so much sense. But yeah, unfortunately, that's just not LEGO's game these days. It is not a must-have. If you, for some reason, in the 8 sets or whatever that they've already released this exact same Mandalorian, don't have one, yes, it is the cheapest way to get it. And if that is your only goal in life, to have a $10 Mandalorian, then this is the set for you. Otherwise, if you've already got this figure, this is a build of a vehicle that does not excite. This is not an exclusive or unique version of the figure. It's not upgraded in any way, so you're really not needing to buy this. The only reason you should buy this is if you're buying it for a kid's birthday, or if you're a kid that really wants this to play with, if it for some reason really tickles your fancy the way that this looks, or if you're a completionist collector like me that just wants to have everything. So I give this a 6 out of 10. It's just not good, and missing the counterpart microfighter doesn't help it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below of the 2022 Razor Crest Microfighter. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new here, and you can check out more 2022 LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.